This video is a film study look at Roquan Smith's performance, really return to form, if you will, in Week 2 against the Browns. He had 15 tackles. He was a dominant force against the run, even on pass plays, coming downhill in some of the Ravens' zone looks, whether it was cover 3, Tampa 2, whatever, identifying that Flacco was going to get rid of the football early for whatever reason. Super aware, if you ask me. You have at least 3 illustrations in this film study video of his awareness and how he's actually kind of directing players during the play, in the middle of the play, if you will. He also had the fumble recovery for a touchdown, which I think, is just the football gods rewarding him for the way that he played and the approach that he took. I thought the inside linebackers played extremely well together. Him and Teddy Buchanan and Trenton Simpson. Physical. They set a real tone against the run and against the pass. I think we got 10 plays queued up here for you. Smith will be spot shadowed in yellow before each play. 1st and 10 on the first possession, his initial tackle for loss. These log plays that the Browns have run for years, that one's kind of ugly the way that its graphic is drawn up. Sorry. They're demanding. They're difficult because you don't know where it's going to go. Is it designed to go all the way to the outside? Or is it designed to be an actual log play? This one looks like one where the guard is leading the running back all the way to the outside. And for years, I've always been a little bit confused by this. Like, how do these things seem to work such that the backside guard gets there and no one can help? There's no force player. I think Van Noy and Marlon Humphrey did a fantastic job on this particular play. Like I said, it's a one-back setup. The backside guard is pulling, and sometimes, let me move this one out of the way for a moment. Sometimes he'll log it, so basically he'll work up to the front side inside linebacker, which in this case is Roquan. But in other times, his path will take him all the way to the outside, which is the one that I think occurs here. For my money, the play, or part of the play, besides Roquan being unblocked and coming downhill, is Van Noy and Marlon, the way they stuff these 2 blocks on the front side of what, to me is a 5-man surface. Talking about right here, Van Noy and Marlon. Roquan is unblocked along with Buchanan. Those guys played well together. They seem to fit things consistently together against the run, and they're physical. This is a tackle for loss on the 3rd play of the game. And then I think Hamilton actually has a tackle for loss on the very next snap. 3rd possession now. This is another TFL. I think he had 3 on the day. It's a one-man screen concept. And so what I mean is you're getting the running back and Njoku releasing to the top side to the field together. Somewhat of a clear-out type route here, and then Fanning, the other tight end, because it's 12 personnel, is running an underneath concept. So you can see the way Flacco could read this, right? He's looking to the right first to Fanning. Here is Njoku. This one kind of surprised me a little bit. We're obviously playing man, but it kind of surprised me a little bit because Njoku, I don't look at as a guy who blocks well. I don't know if it's an effort or desire thing, but it's just never seemed to be something that was his strong suit. Talented with the ball in his hands and obviously breaking tackles, making people miss, picking up yards after the catch. But Roquan and Marlon matched this perfectly because it's man. Marlon has Njoku, and then Roquan has the running back. So, it's 2-on-2 out there. And with Flacco reading the bottom side, the right-hand side, of his right-hand side from the offense, the left-hand side on the screen for us now, he has no knowledge that Roquan is out there. They're assignment-based here, meaning Roquan and Marlon. And I think there's a lot to say about the Ravens' defense yesterday being assignment-based. In addition, I thought Hamilton was brilliant against these tight ends. Now, I'm not talking about like downfield coverage, deep over routes, but he's present, he's in the window, in the area, when Flacco is reading the tight ends, and such that Flacco didn't even go to those guys when Hamilton was around. I think that speaks to how much respect Flacco had for Hamilton or has for him, and how much respect guys around the league probably do as well. 4th possession now, and this is another one-back log play. I've got both of the inside linebackers spot shadowed. It's Roquan and Buchanan. The right guard is going to pull. Now, he does, quote, technically get a pancake on this play. Again, but I show this play, A, because Roquan gets credit for the tackle. It's also a great take on by Buchanan. The right guard does end up on top of Buchanan, so call it a pancake if you want. It's still a great play, in my opinion. It's a downhill run concept. And look at where Buchanan is taking this on, right? This is a Roquan video. This basically illustrates, or I'm trying to use it to illustrate, that you work in tandem with the inside linebacker next to you. And because this the line of scrimmage is here at the negative 43. Sorry about that. Because of where this block occurs, or where the take-on is, I should say, from Buchanan, it's literally at the line of scrimmage. If that take-on occurs here, or God forbid somewhere in this area, you've lost. That's like 2-8 football or 3-7 football. For me, the way Buchanan plays this is 10-0. This is 10-0 football, or 17-0 football if you want to use NFL schedule purposes. But also, I thought Starks and Awuzie from the right side, I thought they got involved often yesterday. And I don't mean like they're the first guy there or whatever, but this is Starks. Watch the just mass of humanity there is between Owe, Buchanan's, he ends up on his back, so people talk about if they want. Roquan, Starks, Owe. Awuzie is in the area. He's not involved with the tackle at all. I thought those guys, particularly on the right side, showed up in the run game when needed. Same play from the end zone angle, and yeah, that's Roquan spot shadowed. You have to give credit for Buchanan for the way he takes this on. I wonder if he's cross-reading this. Normally you're reading your side guard, and so you're looking for something like that or the guard to pull. Sometimes you would cross-read stuff, and cross-back reads can be great, and so can cross-guard reads. So that's the scheme, the way that it works. The yellow line is Roquan. He's able to scrape over the top. Owe is getting blocked by Njoku, and you got a little bit of an illustration of what I'm talking about here in that Owe, absolute control right here of the tight end Njoku at the point of attack, bows him back. That's a really big, strong guy to be bowed back like that. Buchanan with the take-on is just exquisite, man. Totally committed, in my opinion. This is the best run fit that I've seen Buchanan make in all film that I've seen of him. From college and the preseason, yeah, he does end up on his back, but I still think it should be talked about in a positive light because he made the play. I know that Starks and Roquan and Owe, or two of them, get credit for the tackle. I'm sure it's not all three. And Buchanan ends up with his back on the ground. But to me, he made the play. It's a great illustration of playing together, sacrificing for the guy next to you, no matter who gets the statistical production. Fourth possession again, 2nd and 8. So this is really great timing on the blitz. I think this is the very next snap, but I could be wrong. So the ball is on the left hash, and Roquan stepping up just before the snap, and then he'll take on the running back. They covered it really well here in the broadcast. I think it was Ross Tucker. I'm not sure, but there's Roquan taking on the back. It's a cover 3 for the Ravens. So we're dropping out the OLB, which is Owe to the boundary here. And then we're inserting, I think that's Hamilton. Most people call it cover 3 buzz. But let's talk about Roquan in the back. He just overwhelms him with physicality and then is able to shed off of the back, get the hit on Flacco. Like I said, it was a 2nd and 8. I thought that we made life horrible on Flacco yesterday. 25 of 45 passing, I believe. This take on by Roquan and this ability to really dominate this rep against the running back just shows you the force that he played with on the day, getting a quarterback. He's never going to be a big sack guy, but he played downhill. The whole team did. The whole team played downhill defensively, and they deserve a lot of credit, even though we know the Browns' offense is extremely limited, at least the way they're presenting right now. I've always been big on block destruction, how you take on blocks, and to me that's oftentimes indicative or illustrative of the quality of defense that you're going to get on a given day. And I think that a lot of the young players for the Ravens were extremely... Roquan was the leader of the pack in terms of violence, but a lot of the Ravens' young players, Buchanan from 2 plays ago, were extremely violent, and this is going to be another illustration of that. This is 5th possession. It's a very weird screen to Fannin. Fannin is located here. It's another 12 personnel group by the Browns. And the running back is releasing out into the flats. The only thing I can think is that, they're trying to get someone to run with him, maybe in man or whatever. But unfortunately for the Browns, we happen to be dropping out Green, and he's the guy that I'll talk about here in terms of the take-on, the violence of taking on your block. So Fanning here, and then you're going to get 2 linemen releasing. I think I have them spot shadowed in blue the rest of the time. I need to try to be a little bit better as far as color coordination. But this is Green right here. And when you get the end zone angle, you'll see Roquan is actually pointing to him, like telling him, hey, get outside, brother. Get to the outside, because you're now the guy who's forcing it or setting it back inside to me. A couple of things. I mentioned the Awuzie and Starks reactions and them being involved in run fits. This defense yesterday looked like the type of defense, the way the guys played in the preseason, if you recall. Great reaction time, quick to the ball, 3, 4, 5 guys at the point of attack. And I just love Green's willingness to take on the offensive lineman, and he deposits that guy on the ground along with, I think, a defensive tackle who's hustling. I'm talking about right here. And then how the defensive tackle, second hit on that offensive lineman, puts him on the ground. This was a physical group yesterday. I thought it really started with the linebackers. Green gets credit, T-Rob, Tavius Robinson, and Mike Green as well. Same play from the end zone angle. Green is dropping out. Hamilton is lined up over Fanning. He's dropping out. There's Fanning spot shadowed again. This is a weird screen. I'm not a huge fan of it. If we're not dropping out in man, if we're not running out of there and vacating the middle of the field, Roquan is just staring at this. I mean, this is pretty easy. So Teller, I think it's both guards, are releasing up to the second level, and watch Green's take on 75. Well, I guess actually, watch Roquan. Roquan is pointing to him and telling him, hey, you've got to be here, brother. Maybe not that wide, but the idea is take on the outside arm of this guy such that Roquan, can fit to the inside. So Green is even. He's head up with 75, and he should be slightly to the outside. He should be taking it on with his left shoulder, but incredibly violent take-ons were illustrated yesterday by the Ravens defense. So many guys, and that to me means they practiced well. They prepared for the physicality of the Browns. The Browns' offensive line was the nail, and we've had times against them in the past where they've been able to get things done against us, whether it was Nick Chubb, the loss we had last year when Jameis Winston was playing for them, where their offensive line has been able to get things done consistently. They were the nail yesterday. From a Roquan Smith standpoint, that's very rare to have a player pointing to another player in the middle of the play to tell them, hey, you need to move to a different leverage side because the structure of the defense asks you to. Fifth possession here still, and this is a run fit. Simpson's actually on the field now at this point in time. It's a 1st and 10. A counter scheme. The running back is going to cross face. When you get the end zone angle, you'll see Roquan is literally pointing pre-snap. He knows where the ball is going. So here's the two offensive linemen that are pulling up. I call it down sweep. It's the front side guard and the center. So that's down sweep for me. But in any case, Roquan completely unblocked, and I just like the reaction of him and Simpson in unison, as a tandem, the angle that they're taking. I'm not a huge fan of the way that the NFL is doing the All-22 film this year. They seem to be moving the camera abruptly post-snap sometimes, and this is an example of it, in my opinion, for plays that aren't really going anywhere. I almost wonder if there's like a tracking system, because it looks like it to me, but I could be way wrong. Let's go to the end zone angle so you can see what I'm talking about. Roquan obviously is pointing in that direction. He knows what's up. And then it's like I said, it's the backside guard, or it's the front side guard and the center who are pulling to lead. Simpson's taking a good angle here. He'll actually be taken on by the center at a certain point. Roquan's unblocked, and he thinks he's got... I thought there was going to be more of a distinct, abrupt TFL here. Like, 100% keep going at this angle. You know where it's going. And it ends up just being a shoestring, possibly because he ends up in contact with Matabike. And I saw some comments online, like, Roquan's unblocked. He's slow. He's running into Matabike, which kind of disrupts his angle, his path, if you will. And so I think that's why it ended up becoming a shoestring tackle instead of, an absolute clean TFL one more time. I have this labeled as 9th possession. I might be wrong there. This might actually be the 7th. But in any case, it is a 1st and 10. And it's one of many tackles that Roquan had underneath, where Flacco is quick to get rid of the ball. This is like a flood concept. You got a little bit of a bubble here by the outside receiver. I think that's Fanning on a deeper out concept. And then the number one, or the point man, I should say, is running essentially a post corner. Play fake by Flacco. And here is Roquan. Hamilton is really just taking these routes away by the tight ends. He's just wiping them off the map from the standpoint of being an option for Flacco. And as a result, Roquan is just quickly able to identify, okay, he's past his read here, and I'm just coming downhill. Boom. I thought that happened 4, 5, 6 times yesterday. I only found 3 maybe to show you in this video. I feel like Roquan's drops are shorter than they were last year. He doesn't seem to have the same depth that he got last year. Basically, he's not drifting. And I think the other two guys we have there, Buchanan and Simpson, do. And what I mean by that is that they are they're getting a little bit more depth. They should be capped at like 10 or whatever, maybe 11 or 12, and they're sometimes getting even deeper than that. Watch how physical Green is here with Njoku. Now, Njoku's helping out with the pass pro, but Green is physical with him and then stays on him. Just makes contact with the guy, making his life miserable. Njoku's a fantastic player. He's super talented, and I'm pretty sure he's going to play well this year, even though that offense is extremely limited. Roquan is looking down into the backfield as a play-action fake, like I said, and he's just got great reaction. So does Hamilton, who's off-screen. Hamilton is dealing with fanning. Remember, this was a flood concept, so Hamilton's dealing with that deeper out route. They got nothing to Hamilton's side all day. Was that a factor in the drops that Roquan took and why he was able to do this so many times? I don't know. But I love the reactions of Roquan. I'm not a fan I'm not someone who thinks that you've got to have 12 to 14 yard drops all the time. I'm comfortable with 10 for me and letting my guys react. You got to let the quarterback get rid of the ball before you break sometimes, because if you break too soon, the great quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, whatever, they're going to throw the ball over top of you, right, between the second and third level. It seems to me as if there's some slight thing that I want to bring up here in this video early, probably too early for some of you, and that's the depth of our inside linebacker drops and how much certain guys are drifting versus Roquan. So I'll try to use a couple of plays here at the end to illustrate what I'm talking about. 2nd and 10, 7th possession. I know now that I had the previous play mislabeled. It was the 7th possession. This is the possession where Cleveland comes down to get a field goal, I believe. It's a zone reaction with the ball on the right hash. So, again, Hamilton is going to kind of sit down here. You get these two deeper comeback or curl routes by the tight end and the number one receiver. So, first of all, we've got him triangulated, him being Njoku. It's a cover 3, all right, basically, is what we're getting. And Buchanan, I think, might be stepping out a little bit too wide. That's why him and Hamilton are close together. But in any case, look at the depth that we've got, right? We're pretty much at the same depth at the inside linebacker position. Like I said, it's a cover 3. There's not as much drift on this play for Buchanan, and as a result, we're able to cage him. And when I say we, I mean the two inside linebackers. Look at their arrival time. It's pretty similar, right? That's what you want, because you're going to be at a talent deficit, an athletic deficit when you're dealing with a running back, no matter what level of football you play. What you don't want is for, let's say, Roquan to be arriving now. Well, if he's arriving now, he's probably getting a quick tackle. But for him to be arriving now and Buchanan to be 5 to 6 yards away, that actually did occur a little bit yesterday. I'm only really going to show you one example of that. It's something to mention or think about as a fan when you see a running back catch the ball and maybe run to one side, and the inside linebacker who's pursuing looks, quote, slow. It might not actually be his fault. It might be his tandem's fault for getting too much depth and drifting a little bit at the top of his pass drop. I may not have explained that very well. Basically, you want guys at similar depth. You don't want to leave a gap or a lane for the running back to cut to. This one, was pretty good. We actually are now onto the 9th possession. 1st and 10. We're going to get a Tampa 2 by the Ravens. Buchanan is down here as an edge defender. Roquan is the only inside linebacker, but we've inserted Kyle Hamilton down into the box. So, kind of looks like a 5-2, but really Hamilton's just down there over top of Njoku. Immediate pressure from Owe, the purple line, against the backup tackle for the Browns. I don't know about you, but when I saw this live, I was like, that better get called, because we know we had some that weren't called last week against the Bills. Here's Hamilton. It's a Tampa 2. He's dropping out of there. Really cool, man. We made it look like man pre-snap, and then he rolls. Hamilton drops out of there after making it look like man. Gets to a Tampa 2. He's basically the Mike linebacker. There's Owe. Roquan's reacting now. Now, Roquan's just got, he's been around a long time. He's a veteran inside linebacker. This is one to me that I think kind of illustrates the depth that I'm talking about. They're really not at that difference of a depth. It's just the fact that Roquan reacts so quick to it. But that's my point. Drift can actually make things poor. It can make your ability to change direction. Buchanan's not a DB. Simpson's not a DB. So they're not going to, plant point burst or T-step. I remember that argument last year between Dion and some of the other DBs like Samuel. But the point is, we don't want a large differential between them. It didn't hurt us here, right? It didn't hurt us. Roquan comes downhill. There's not much space, and it wouldn't have hurt us anyway, even if he escaped from Roquan because there was a hold. But hopefully, I'm trying to illustrate the point. We want a similar arrival time by our guys. Once again, this is the same play, 12 personnel. Njoku and Fanning are the 2 tight ends. So we're setting up for it to look like man. But then we roll Hamilton to the middle of the field. One of the best coverage schemes that I think we've had in the last 2 or 3 years in terms of Hamilton, especially on days like this where he's playing really well and taking away tight end routes. In addition, Buchanan, since he was on the line, gets a really deep drop here because he does end up deeper, further away from the line of scrimmage than Roquan. But again, Roquan's reaction time, his experience, allows him to see it quick and break down on the running back. So perhaps a little bit unfair to Buchanan, but just in terms of the arrival time for these guys on this play in particular, gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. I thought I saw it 4 or 5 times yesterday. You want both inside linebackers to be there at the same time, and they generally were. I mean, and they were physical when they fit together, whether it was a run or a pass play. 5-1 look with Roquan as the only inside linebacker. Now, Hamilton's is also kind of rolled up, creating almost a pseudo 5-2 with Hamilton as the other inside linebacker. But really, he's just matching up with Njoku pre-snap. Whatever the coverage call is, post-snap, we don't know. It's a great read. I'm not sure who the edge defender. I guess the edge defender is Buchanan or Simpson up here. It's a great read by Roquan, and the center's trying to get to him. The center's trying to move up to Roquan right here. Can't get to him. Roquan folds over the top. It's a 3rd and 1, and the Browns, still get the first down. So it's a productive play for them. I'm not sure I like this setup, to be honest with you. I really like Mike Green against the run. I really like Mike Green taking on tackles and tight ends, not getting expanded. Buchanan, I think, ends up on the ground here. He's just, his lower half isn't as strong, and then, yeah, people are going to say there's a hold here, but really his lower half is already lost there. We're already bowing inside. So, but in any case, I'm not a huge fan of the look from a Roquan standpoint. It's impressive for him to go across the midline and then get to the running back. It ends up being a 2-yard gain and a conversion for the Browns on the play. He was really punishing with the way that he tackled. Along with the 15 tackles overall, 3 TFLs, his finishes were violent. And then finally, this is the fumble recovery for a touchdown. So 4th and 6. And Roquan was lined up initially in here, mugged up. We're going to drop him out. Immediate pressure from Madubuike. Pretty sure we've got a hold there, and I'll give you the end zone angle so you can see it. There's Fanning and Njoku up to the top side of the field. And I thought that's right where Flacco looked initially. I probably should have paused it for a moment there. I'm talking about right now. He appears to be looking to that side. And once again, I think we've done a really nice job. I think it's Buchanan dropping out here, and then Starks underneath, and then the corner over the top. So we've almost kind of played our funnel coverage, except we're just dropping to it. It's really, to me, it's just a cover 3 post-snap. Roquan has eyes on Flacco. There's pressure from Madubuike. And when you get the end zone angle, you'll see what I'm talking about. You know, completely a hold right in here. I think it was by 77 on Madubuike. Madubuike peels back. This was nice by Madubuike, not picking up a penalty, not taking, a huge shot on the other offensive lineman. It wasn't the guy who held him. And then Roquan takes it to the house for a huge touchdown. I think that one made it 34-10. End zone angle, the same play. The guys that we're talking about pretty much in this play, Roquan, Madubuike, and then T-Rob. He's the guy who gets the sack and the forced fumble here. I don't know about you, but I feel like there's a hold here on, I think it's Teller against Madubuike. Trying to do this live, so if the spot shadow stinks, you let me know. But screenshots suck in the NFL. Not in this case. That's a hold when someone is hugging you and you're trying to get away, get to the quarterback. I think it's Teller, 77, was walked back to the quarterback enough that should have been, if you ask me, on the quarterback or the referee's radar. But in any case, Roquan is all over it here in terms of looking at Flacco and being ready to break down. There is no route in front of him, however. T-Rob finishes it off. Look, ball doesn't lie. I think it was Rasheed Wallace, right, that said that. The hold occurs, they don't call it. Well, in this case, the ball actually is lying. The ball's lying there on the ground. Roquan picks it up, takes it to the house. And, he gets rewarded for the ferocity, the discipline, the effort that he played with on this day by getting a scoop and score touchdown that really finished off a Browns team that played great defense in the first half, but they couldn't keep up in the second half. Once our offense got going and Zach Orr's defense stayed, on the right path, it was pretty much over. I don't think the Browns are a good offense at all. They're really in trouble. But I still think Zach Orr's group was on point. Hamilton did a great job of taking away the main threat, the tight ends into the boundary on shorter routes. And those have been available in the past for Njoku and others. Roquan, Buchanan, really good together generally. I mean, like I said, maybe 3 or 4 times where I thought the pass drops, there was too big of a differential in terms of their depth. Those guys were violent, especially against the run. They were punishing on tackles underneath. Tough for me to see Flacco go through that. I don't know about you, but I think the real end is here. It's here, not near. Given their upcoming schedule and lack of talent on offense, it seems to me like Stefanski's got to go to one of the rookie quarterbacks or both to at least keep himself around. This was a frustrating half. It was a frustrating first half to watch for our offense, but our defense was brilliant throughout. The cool thing is, for the film aspect, if you can watch just the offense through, you start to get frustrated. But if you watch just the defense through, man, 6 stops to begin the game. We did give up a field goal late second quarter, but Roquan was a huge part of that, in my opinion, with the execution, with getting guys into the right look. It was a great game of defense, a great 60 minutes, which is nice to see that we didn't fall off. Late in the fourth quarter, we did give up a touchdown in the third quarter. Roquan finished it off with a scoop and score. He's got to be in the discussion, if you ask me, for Defensive Player of the Week for the AFC or the NFL. You guys let me know what you think of the video in the comment section, what you thought of Roquan's play watching it live, and then what the plays that I chose to illustrate the quality of his play. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this film study look at Roquan Smith from Week 2, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.